guy you shot had some information on Scooter Libby.
Just stupidity, right?
Are we rolling?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, welcome to chapter 23. In your textbooks, the camera is rolling, so your comments will be eternally impressed on the tape.
The enforcement.
This is the last chapter in the call stem verbs, which deals with all the irregularities in word order sequences or sentence syntax, otherwise known. This kind of summarizes all the different variations in word sequences, some of the exceptions to verb being in the first place in the sentence. And then we move into a new stem, which is nifal. It's a passive alternative to call. So since we are moving from one stem to the other, we are going to have a midterm to sum up everything that we learned up to today. Next class talk. I might make it a take home, I don't know yet. Or maybe the first part would be take here and then the second part would be take home. We'll see how time allows for it and how big is the chapter in Nifal. But before we get there, let's look at some of these variations. So, in the introductory section on chapter 271, actually page 271, it states that we will pause to treat more fully the issue of normal word order in a verbal sentence, along with selection of other issues relating to sentence syntax. So, and if you go in the second paragraph down below, in Hebrew, normal word order for a verbal sentence is verb, subject, object. Okay, so if we'll look at the verb in the first place, then goes subject, the one performing the action, and then the object. Of course, it's all reversed since the Hebrew verb is read from right to left, okay? This is a normal sentence structure. So now we'll learn some of the variations from it. Or actually, we'll sum up whatever we saw. In your textbooks, if you look at page 271, there are examples of normal text structure or verbal structure. Vayizkor Elohim et Noah, and God remembered Noah. As you see, Elohim is in the second place, so that's the subject performing the action. Vayizkor, he remembered, and Noah is in the third place, which is the object. And we have very nice object marker in front of Noah, so we know exactly that it is an object of the sentence. Okay? Let's look at the following page, 272, which says, you should also understand, however, that it is not uncommon to encounter variations from this pattern, especially in poetic material. That's why poetic literature is actually allocated in the advanced levels of Hebrew grammar, because it has a lot of variations for the sake of either rhyme or parallelism, different poetic structures and so on and so forth. But let's look at some of these variations. Paragraph 23.2, the syntax of the verb. In the syntax of the verbal sentences, the verb is normally at the beginning, but in the paragraph 23.3, we have some of the exceptions with the verb first. And these are exceptions listed on the whiteboard. First of all, the verb in the sentence might be preceded by an adverb of time, which is what? Now, when, while. It could be preceded by an adverbial phrase, okay, by a word hine, which you have encountered many times, by a temporal modifier, vayehi or vehaya. Temporal modifier is what? It is basically introducing the conversion of the verb from perfect to the imperfect, or vice versa. Okay, and there could be also an expression that provides context or circumstantial information, or it could be simply an independent personal pronoun used for emphasis in front of the verb. Okay. So these are some of the irregularities in the verb section. Additionally, the presence of any of the sentence components listed above does not necessarily alter the verb, subject, object, sentence arrangement. So if we look at some of the examples on page 273, the first one, the verb may be preceded by an adverb. So our sentence is ata yadati ki gadol Adonai mikol ha-Elohim. And then ata is this particular instance here, preceding the verb, and that's actually what kind of adverb? Time. So now, ata, I know that Adonai is greater than all gods. That's the first example. Second instance might be the verb may be preceded by an expression that provides context, circumstantial information, or a connection with the preceding clause or verse. So, and this particular instance would be with Achar hadevarim ha'elech, after these things, and then normal flow of the sentence, Hayad devar Adonai el Abram. After these things, the word of Adonai came to Abram. So, after these things would be actually the connecting phrase to the previous thought. That will be also helpful for your sentence breakdown, because it will point out that this sentence is connected to the previous context. Yes?
So, ahar means after these things?
No. Achar hadevarim ha'elech. Those three things are the same.
All
are
three
together,
of those?
yes. This is circumstantial information or contextual sentence clause. Okay? Moving down to the third, the verb may be preceded by hine. As noted earlier, the word hine should not always be translated as behold. So don't always translate it as behold, because in some instances it might not be translated that way. But look at the first example on page 274, at the top of the page. Vehine naflo avoteinu becharev. And behold, our fathers have fallen by the sword. Okay, and behold, that's vehine. Okay, in this instance it is translated as behold, so we'll just leave it at that. And some of the others will have to vary translations. The fourth example, where the verb could be preceded by a temporal clause beginning with vehaya or veyahi, vayahi. Each of the examples below also illustrates the frequent use of the infinitive construct following a temporal modifier. So the first example is Vayehi behyotam basade vayakom kain el hevel ahiv vayachar gehu. When they were in the field, that's the first three words. Vayehi bahiotam basadeh. So when they were in the field, that's the whole phrase. It's actually called temporal clause. It identifies the time of the event. Okay? Fifth instance, the verb may be preceded by a negative particle. For example, al, and it's usually joined to a verb. Al tivtehu lahem el divrei chasheker. Do not trust in deceptive words. So do not is also one of the variations when a verb will not be in the first place. The sixth instance on page 275, the verb may be preceded by an independent personal pronoun for emphasis. So, ve'atem, that means and you. Tihyuli mamlechet kohanim. So, and you will be to me a kingdom of priests. So, it's used for emphasis. Number 7. Any questions so far? Number 7. The verb may also be preceded by a number of other modifiers or grammatical constructions. For example, Eli, Eli, lama azavtani. Does that sound anything similar to anything that you've ever heard or seen somewhere? Perhaps, my God, why have you forsaken me? Eli, Eli, lama azavtani. Psalm 22:2 or 22:1 in English. So in this instance, Eli, Eli, lama, or lama, 3 words are preceding the verb. So actually verb is in the last place. And why did some Pharisees thought that he might have been calling Elijah? Because Eli, Eli, Eliyahu, or Eli is a shorter form for God or Elijah, were used interchangeably. So, and since they didn't believe that he has actual connection to God the Father, the only person that they thought he's calling is Elijah or something. For that matter. All right, so these are 7 instances when the verb could be in a second or third or fourth place in the sentence. Now let's get down to syntax of the subject. We just looked at the syntax of the verb. Now we're looking at the syntax of the subject. And the paragraph 23.4 states, you know that perfect, imperfect, and imperative verbs have an implied subject. So we already discovered it in our sentences. This means that you will not always need an explicit subject to complete a sentence in Hebrew. So in the first instance, we have in the syntax of the verbal sentence, the verb is normally followed immediately by its subject if one is specified. Example on the following page. Vayachalom Yosef Halom. And Joseph dreamed a dream. So dreamed a dream. We have a verb and a subject, actually, object, a dream. The serpent said to the woman, well, it's similar to that. Second instance, the verb may be preceded by its subject to emphasize that subject, though there are no other reasons for this type of variation. So let's see. Adonai yimloch